Okay, so let's go ahead with the demo. At this stage, the inference engine would have received and processed a daily batch of transaction data that would have streamed from our customer. What it's done at this point, it's classified these customers into behavioral segments, and then based on that segment, did some churn analysis to assess and predict the probability that the consumer might have churned. So at this phase, we're in the marketing operation, creating engagement. And the number one priority of this group was to ensure that this data that is presented is actionable, and more specifically, a list that could be injected into a customer relationship management workflow or a CDP of some sort that will drive this process within the organization. So what we have here is, in fact, that it's an actionable list of consumers, all filtered on this probability. And this can change from program to program or for various other types of analysis. So this is a sliding bar. We can organize by the various types of products. And there's some aggregation here that will allow them to organize and structure this data for sub-teams within their organization. But in this particular case, you can see the top of the list. You can do some mouse overs on some of these consumers and get a sense for the types of products that they are engaging. This may inform what groups should be responding. You can see in some cases the fall off. In all of these cases, in fact, the fall off, which is what we are responding to in this churn assessment. So immediately we're creating impact and value for the organization. On a more higher altitude, more strategic point of view, we're also evaluating the groups, the behavioral groups that have come from our inference engine that give insight to patterns that might be within that particular group. It may not be an individual that's sort of fading away. Maybe there's something that changed in our organization that's causing a particular group to fade away. And we have here the ability to evaluate how many consumers are coming in, how many are at risk as a percentage of the total group, and you can see the breakdown by group type here. And then lastly, we can break this down a little further. This gives us some insight on the consumer. So for example, this is all of the groups, but on a mouse over, I can see what we would call a card, a profile card. It gives us some information, some intelligence on a particular consumer within a particular group, but we can do some analysis and some filtration here and organize by group type. I want to expand this out, for example, to get a better understanding of the distribution of some of these players. And then based on the size of these bubbles that are represented by each player, it shows, for all intents and purposes, the magnitude of their contribution of play. So with that, I hope this provides some insight to the information that's provided through the House Edge inference engine, and we're really excited by the outcome.